Hi, people. I know a lot of you are new to this, and it seems overwhelming at first. It seems like there's so much to do. But that's why I sort of laid out this process. To me, this is my process, and you're welcome to use it, for your own use. I'm just going to, anytime something happens to me or somebody's coming at me, making a claim at me, I'm going to walk them through my process. I don't care what they do, what they respond. I'm going to take them for the little walk through my process. And I just want to briefly explain what the process is. So first thing you get generally, you'll get something in the mail and it'll have a corporation's name on there. You will rarely ever see somebody from the county or the borough or the township put their name on the envelope. So right away, I look at that as that's going to be mail fraud right away, because I don't know who's really sending this to me, because I know for certain a company's a corporate fiction. They can't do things. They don't have arms. They don't have a brain. They can't write letters and documents. So they didn't do anything. So putting a corporation's name in the upper left-hand corner there, well, to me, right off the bat, that's mail fraud, because I don't know who this is from. I don't know who's really making a claim for me, against me. And when you tell me that, the county of Delaware is making a claim, who the hell's that? Who's the county of Delaware? Who actually do I get to speak to verify this claim? There's nobody that exists there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set them up with a nice little mail fraud complaint. And I'm going to open up the document. I'm going to make copies of the envelope, make copies of the documents, and I'm going to submit a mail fraud claim against them. Because what they're doing is actually mail fraud. They're actually using the United States Postal Service, or if you're international, they're using your postal service to create mail fraud against you. Because what they're doing is they're trying to extort money from you, and they're trying to do it through deceptive practices. They're speaking in the names of fictions and corporate entities that don't exist. So I'm going to set them up with a mail fraud claim, and that's going to basically, in our country, and I'm sure in other countries, that's a federal offense. And there's 3 statutes that I have listed on the one video tutorial I did, and I think 2 of them carry up to 20-year sentences, and one carries up to a 5-year sentence. Not that they're ever going to get that, or that may happen, but I'll tell you what, it's going to shake them to their core a little bit when they get that, and it was successful in a matter in New Jersey tax matter. We did the New Jersey Tax Bureau. We actually responded to the letter. We did what I call one of the Barney Rubble responses. Basic, Fred take ball, Barney want ball back. We gave one of them responses, and the woman cited mail fraud. Hey, this is mail fraud that you sent me, and hey, look, here's a copy of what I reported. I reported you guys as mail fraud. And a week later, her problem was resolved. Let's just say that. So mail fraud brings outside eyes into their little scheme of a game. And that's why I like using that. I like outside eyes looking at them, because these are not things that the monkeys do to them. In other words, they control the monkeys. You're a monkey to them. They control you in their eyes. They're not used to the monkey fighting back like that. So that's one they're not used to seeing. Next thing you're going to do is, listen, you're not going to win by staying on defense. It's like being a boxer. Imagine getting in a ring with a guy and you can't throw any punches. You just got to hold your hands up and try and block him from punching you. Well, that's what it is when you're playing the role of defendant. You're always trying to block punches. You got to start going on offense. And the way you start going on offense is through filing affidavits against them and a claim. Now, basically, even though you're technically, in their eyes, the defendant, you're actually flipping the entire script upon them, and you're now becoming the pursuer. You're the hunter. They're now becoming the hunted, and they start to figure that out when they see your affidavits. And the cornerstone of your affidavits is your affidavit of status. Listen, I'm not going to sit there and argue with people over who I am, what my rights are, where my rights came from. I'm just not going to do that. So I just put in an affidavit of fact, affidavit of status, and if they don't like my affidavit of status, they're more than welcome to rebut it, which is never going to happen. So they're never going to rebut your affidavit of status. And people are tying a lot of things up that I do to just common law. Like, I'm doing just this common law stuff, and this common law stuff doesn't work. Listen, what I'm doing is I'm actually taking a tool of theirs and I'm banging them over the head with it, because I'm using the one thing that we have that they don't have, and that's our word, where we can walk into court and testify under penalty of perjury that everything we wrote down in that document is true. They're not going to do that. They're not going to rebut your affidavits. So in a way, this is actually technically like a commercial process we're moving them through, but it's built off the core principles of common law. So your affidavit of status is your cornerstone. You got to have that. I send that out with every document I send out. I send that out with every document I send out. And then I'm going to do an affidavit of fact. And what that is, that determines that event, whatever I'm writing about, whether it's a tax bill or whatever their claim is that they sent me, I'm going to address that matter in that affidavit of fact. And the affidavit of status is going to get attached to it. And then I'm also going to turn the tables on them, because now I'm basically making a commercial claim against them, because now I'm serving them a notice of claim. And I'm telling them, hey, basically, hey, here's what's going on. You have trespassed, and you're administering my property without right, and you've uttered forged documents against me. You state you've uttered forged documents against me, because that letter you got in the mail, it may have a name on it, rarely does it have a name on it, and I have yet to see a signature, a wet signature on any document. So you've got them for mail fraud there, so basically, and you've got them for trespass, and you've got them for forgery. So that's going to be the basis of your claim. And listen, you add a financial component to it. Hey, listen, I'm charging you $10,000 now for trespassing and for forgery against me. And if you continue on, I'll charge you $10,000 for each additional charge of fraud or whatever you commit, because they'll just step in one fraud after another. They'll just keep the process going. So you send them a list of your charges. Yeah, listen, it's whatever you decide it is. Listen, if they don't like your prices, they shouldn't be trying to do business with you. That's how I look at it. You don't like my prices? Don't do business with me. I didn't start this. You stuck yourself in my business. So now I have requirements. When you want to deal with me, I have charges I need met. So there's your second point. That's why I have the six steps up here. And then you start to really turn up the heat on them, because now this I don't know how every other other countries have their own different things as far as grand juries. In this country, we do have a grand jury, and a grand jury is sort of the fourth branch of government. The grand jury scares the hell out of the attorney general and the district attorney. So they have no control over the grand jury. So technically, if I could write my criminal complaints up, I could hand them right to the grand jury foreman. Okay, when I hand them to the grand jury foreman, they can take up the merits of my complaints. I don't need to run them through anybody. But the problem is, they sort of hide the grand jury from us, and they're a little hard to find. And where they're meeting and what times they're meeting. So I do know two entities that know where they're at pretty much at all times. That's I think it's the district attorney for the county, and also the attorney general of the state. They know where the grand jury is. So generally what I do is I write my criminal complaints up, and a lot of times you'll find the criminal complaints in the United States of America. You'll find them under Title 18 of your state. So I'll write my criminal complaints up, and there's many. You're going to find at least 7, 8, 9. You could actually look at mine. I have listed in a lot of my documents, and you're going to find counterparts in your state that you could just mix and match. So I'm going to list the state criminal complaints, and I'm going to send a copy to, and I do one complaint per incident. In other words, I don't put 8 or 9 on just one document and call it a criminal complaint. If there's 9 criminal complaints, I'm doing 9 separate criminal complaints I'm writing up. And you could basically get their form. You could either use it, because you could use it, or you could copy it. I generally don't like to use their forms. I sort of will create my own forms and mirror my form off of their form, but so that anything that I find offensive on their form that I'm not going to use, I just don't include in my form. But I sort of set it up in a format that they're familiar with. So when they see mine, they're going to know, well, this looks like theirs, and I'm just going to take out, like I said, a couple things that I don't care for, that I don't like, I'm not going to use. So they're my state criminal complaints. I'm going to send them to the district attorney of the county. Okay, he's going to get a copy of them. And the attorney general for the state, they're going to get the same copy. And in there, I'm going to state that, hey, I don't need you guys to investigate these and do anything with them. Here's all I need you to do. I don't know where the grand jury's at, but I know you guys know where the grand jury is. So as a public servant, I'm asking you to do your duty and hand my criminal complaints over to the foreman of the grand jury. And I state to them, I tell them in there, listen, I've included a self-addressed stamped envelope in there for the grand jury foreman, and I've asked him to initial it and mail it back to me once he's received my complaints that you've delivered to him. So now I'm sort of putting the district attorney of the county on notice, and I'm putting the state's attorney general on notice that, listen, guys, these are criminal complaints. I'm a victim here. I'm letting you guys know of crimes being committed. I need you to take action. I need you to turn my documents over to to the grand jury foreman. So that puts them in an awkward position. Now I start taking the locals, because they like to operate in their own little cocoon, their own little ballpark. Now I start to expand their little cocoon, their little ballpark. I'm starting to get outside eyes on them. I've got I got the mail fraud complaint, that's federal. You got the feds looking at them possibly. And then I've got the state attorney general looking at them, and their own district attorney in their county has to look at them. And his worry is, listen, everything's political. He doesn't know where this is going to go. And he's going to know, this is not the average monkey that looks like that's sending this in. I better just cross my T's and dot my I's just to cover my rear end here to make sure everything's okay. And just maybe a couple of those phone calls, and I've seen it happen in the past in situations where somebody's got a phone call and things have disappeared. Okay, so you want outside eyes on them. And listen, these are state criminal complaints. These people get found guilty of these complaints, they lose their livelihood. They're done. I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for anybody that loses their livelihood. If somebody's coming at me trying to damage me and they're willing to steal my property and then take stuff that I worked for all my life, I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for these people. That's their responsibility to understand what they're doing. And if they don't understand what they're doing, then they better get another job, or they better be willing to risk the consequences of what's going to come down the pike at them. Now, I'm also going up the ante because I'm going to file also federal criminal complaints in this matter. Now, the federal criminal complaints, you can almost take the ones I have, and I'm sure you guys out there, I've seen a lot of them posted in the Telegram group, even more than I have here. Great, expand the list. I think I got like 7 or 8 or something federal criminal complaints. And if you guys got more, please, send them to me and we'll add them to the list. Because you're going to send the federal criminal complaints, you're going to call your local FBI up, and you're going to ask for the name of the special agent in charge. That are not going to give you the names of all the other people in the FBI. But that's the one name they will give you, is the special agent in charge of the FBI. So you're going to send your federal criminal complaints to the special agent in charge. And it's the same thing. If you've got 8 federal criminal complaints, you're not going to put them all on one sheet. You're going to put them on separate sheets. Each criminal complaint gets their own separate sheet. And you're going to send them in the special agent in charge of the FBI and ask them to look into these matters, because these are crimes that have been committed against you. So now you're sort of positioning yourself as the victim in this matter. Because when push comes to shove, if they want to call me on this, I'll happily walk into court and testify against anybody I've filed these complaints against, because I'll have no trouble proving that what they did was fraud. Because everything they're doing, they're moving on presumptions. And I know in this country and many other countries, you have a right to a trial by jury. And for a party to bring a suit against you, they must have standing. Standing means they must be a damaged, injured party in some way, whether they had a right violated or you've damaged them in some way. And those elements don't exist when you're dealing with corporate fictions. So everything they're doing is fraud, and I'll have no trouble getting up on the stand and testifying against these people if it ever comes to that, which I don't think it ever will, because they can't come against you. They don't have a witness to come against you. One of my other favorites that I got a hats off to Randy Kelton for this. Go check out Randy's stuff. He's got a lot of stuff up on YouTube. Randy's a brilliant guy, but Randy taught me about bar grievances. Now, think about the whole thing about a bar grievance. It's a twisted setup. It's sort of a setup, because you're going to file a bar grievance against one of the bar members, and you're going to file it with one of the bar members, the bar association. So when you file that bar grievance against the attorney, they're going to take your grievance and they're going to look at it, and they're going to tear it up in 1,000 pieces, and they're going to throw it in the waste basket. And you say, well, why would we do that then? Well, here's who's not going to overlook it. Their indemnity insurer, their insurance company. That's a strike, okay? That bar grievance is a strike. Now, I don't have personal knowledge of this. I can only go by what Randy has told me. An attorney in his first year of practice, if he gets one bar grievance filed against him, the attorney loses their insurance. The attorney can't be an attorney no more. If an experienced attorney has 2 bar grievances filed against him, the attorney loses their insurance and he can't be an attorney no more. If a law firm gets 3 bar grievances filed against them in 1 year, the law firm ceases to exist because they're not going to have insurance. So the law firm has to go away. So these are the powerful things of the bars of the bar grievances, and the bar grievance is going to tie into this notice of claim, because remember, you've already filed a notice of claim and you've asked for a financial component. Now here's the dirty little secret that these attorneys, these scumbag dirtball bar members, don't want you to know. And I've learned this from someone who teaches attorneys about insurance. He instructs attorneys about their insurance policies. Here's what they don't want you to know. When you file that claim against that attorney and that bar grievance, that claim, when that claim comes in against him, he's got to pick up the phone and call the insurance company and let them know, hey, I just had a claim filed against me. That's in most of their policies, that they have a duty and obligation to the insurance company to pick up the phone and tell them they've had a claim filed against them. They got to let them do that. They got to inform them, because if they don't, the insurance company can turn around and go, hey, we're not covering you. You had a duty and obligation to let us know. This guy's sending you affidavits. He's sending you notice of claims. He's telling you he's going to sue you, and you didn't let us know. So it puts him on the hot spot. He's got to let his insurance company know. So now that the red flags are going up for the insurance company, they got a notice of claim against this guy, and hopefully, I make mine fairly substantial. I don't play games with these people. You want a toy? If you're going to come tinker with my house, I charge you the full value for my property, whatever my property is. If it's $350,000, I'm going to charge you $350,000. You don't like my prices? Stay out of my business. Bottom line, pretty simple to deal with. So I'm going to trigger his insurance by this claim, and I'm going to trigger his insurance by this bar grievance. Now, these are the things they don't want you to know. These are the cards you have to play against them. You're dealing with judges. Listen, these judges, they're supposed to be the impartial third-party trier of facts. Yeah, good luck with that. They're basically running interference for the corrupt bar association member that you're looking at over there. They're over there to cover his rear end. I mean, I've seen this numerous times. So these guys are about the most dishonest. I mean, listen, every now and then you do get a good judge. We have one, decent amount of things before a judge as being a defendant. And that was luck, because they just happened to have a good judge. They had a decent judge. If you don't have a decent judge, you're going to get railroaded. He's going to steamroll you. Because his thing is, you know what, I'm just going to pass this through and go appeal it. Good luck with that. That's going to cost you money. It's probably not worth your time or the money to appeal it. And so he's just going to try and railroad you. So when you get a judge who's acting, that you can tell he's basically siding with the bar. And you'll learn that from, when the attorney opens his mouth and you say objection per Rule 602. Mr. Attorney has no personal knowledge of anything in this matter. He can't testify against me, and I'm going to require Mr. Attorney be put under oath to even open his mouth in this matter. And when that judge denies that, go file complaints against the judge, a judicial complaint against the judge, because that's equivalent to the bar grievance, okay? And the only difference is these guys operate under the standard rules of professional conduct that each state has, and these guys operate under judicial canons, the judges. And you'll find it's usually like the first 3-4 canons they'll be violating depending on your state. So go get them, go look up the canons, and go file complaints against the judge, because they don't like that, because that's a black mark on their record. And their indemnity insurer is going to take note that you filed a complaint against them. Because here's what generally follows bar grievances and judicial complaints. They're called lawsuits. And guess who pays the lawsuit? The insurance company's going to pay the lawsuit. Well, if you're ringing them up for some big numbers here, and the insurance company looks at this and they go, "Hey, this guy gets you in court. He's going to take you down. We're going to have to foot the bill for this. You're a liability here." They could cut them loose, or they could up their rates. So you want to tinker with their insurance. So these people want to mess with you. You go mess with them, and you take them on a ride that they're not going to believe. And then the final, I'm working on a couple things. I'm going to try and close people out administratively. I have some things. I'm not going to show my hands yet. I know I'm being watched on this channel. If you go listen to the Mr. Roboto interview from Crow, you'll know how much I'm being watched. So I'm not going to show these people my hand right now. I already have things in place to take them down administratively. And when I move it to the judicial level, if I'm forced to move it to the judicial level by their conduct, the damages I'm seeking at the administrative level are going to become exponential in the judicial claim, because now I got them pinned to the mat, basically, because I would have served them basically 2 sets of affidavits and given them an opportunity. I gave them proper notice and opportunity to respond, and they chose not to respond. It's not my problem, you know. They have a duty and obligation to respond, and if they sit there and say that they didn't have an obligation to respond to my affidavits, well, it's just a ridiculous claim, because here's their actual position. They're actually stating that they can make claims against you and I and our property without any recourse, that there's nothing to, you know, they just can make claims and not have to answer for their claims, because they're just magical beings. These people, these got these magical positions, and they follow these magical things called laws, these written documents on pieces of paper that they don't know who wrote them. They don't know who wrote these laws. They'll say, oh, the legislature wrote them. Well, who exactly from the legislature wrote them? I need him in here, because I got some questions for this guy from the legislature to find out how he usurped my unalienable rights to freedom. Because this guy's actually claiming he could put stuff down on a piece of paper and make it apply to me. And the only way that's going to happen is if I'm his slave, the guy who wrote that paper, or if I'm in contract with that guy, and I know neither exists. So that they're ridiculous claims. So we come to that point, I'm going to file. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to file against them, because I said I don't want to show my hand yet. But if I have to file judicial claims against them, that's going to be after my administrative claims been already worked, and that involves liens against their property. And I don't think these people understand or realize that, yes, you know what, you want to threaten me with liens? Watch me go lien your property, your personal home, your family's personal home. You want to involve yourself in my business, I'm coming after you individually. I'm not coming after you as in your title, you're this judge, tax, or whatever, a tax assessor. I'm coming after you in your individual capacity. I don't know who you are or how you think you have rights in my property, but we're going to sort this out, because guess what? I deal in affidavits. I'm going to bang you over the head with affidavits, and I'm going to make you rebut my affidavits, because I already know from talking to these people, and I've talked to numerous amounts of these people, they've got no clue what they're doing. They're button pushers. And as soon as I ask them a little legal question, they cry and run to their attorneys. Well, their attorneys have no jurisdiction in the matter, they have no legal standing in the matter, and they have no personal knowledge of anything regarding myself or my property. So why would I want to talk to their attorneys, or why would I allow their attorneys to talk to me? I get a call from an attorney, I'm going to shut them right down. I'm telling yo, dude, you better cease and desist right now, or I'm going to add you to this claim. I'm going to go tag you for about $750,000. You want to involve yourself in my property? Well, I'm going to make you pay the price. Mr. Attorney goes away, and I know that for certain, because I've filed many stuff against the attorneys here, and I'm just moving in the process of actually closing it in now and closing it out. And I'll tell you right now, these attorneys have gone dead silent. I have gotten nothing from after I file against an attorney. I get nothing back from these attorneys. They go silent. Because suddenly they learn he's not like one of the other monkeys. This monkey's a little different. This monkey might know a little bit. So this monkey's a little dangerous. Because this monkey, when this monkey gets them in actual real court of law, a judicial court of law, and staying away from their little phony kangaroo administrative courts, when I get them in a real judicial court of law, game's over for them. Because they're never going to be able to rip up my affidavits. And I'm going to bang them over the head with that. And everything they did against me was counterfeiting, forgery, and fraud. And actually amounts to securities fraud a lot of the times. Because they're creating documents out of thin air, and they're securitizing them. Your traffic ticket, whether it's a false lien they file against you, that attorney created that document out of thin air, and they're securitizing that document. That's securities fraud, okay, in addition to everything else. Gee, I wish I could write down on a piece of paper and just magically create money. I can do that as a promissory note, but the other party must be willing to accept the promissory note. I just can't go running around writing things down on pieces of paper and turning it into money. But that's what they're doing. So like I said, I could do it with a promissory note if the other side agrees to it. But unless the other side agrees to it, I'd be committing securities fraud if I'm running around writing things down on pieces of paper and claiming they have a value and trading off of it. So that's basically your 6-step process, and we're going to start to hone in on this process because this is where I'm at with a lot of my stuff. And like I said, I got a little surprises for you. They're called administrative claims. I'm going to show you how to exercise those and how to lean these people. So if these people think they're impervious, they're in for a shock. And here's what they don't want you to know. I had somebody. He's got a show. He's pretty well known. And he was moving down this road of doing these claims against people, and he had an attorney talk to him and scare him. He basically said that, hey, people can go to jail for filing liens against people. But there's more to the story. Here's what they don't want you to know. If I move by affidavits and I close these people out by getting them to default twice on affidavits, no judge, I don't care whether it's administrative hearing, I don't care if it's judicial hearing, no judge can modify, alter, overturn, or disregard my affidavits, because those affidavits are going to turn into my testimony when I put them on the court record. No judge can deny my testimony. So when my testimony goes on the court record, when I take my affidavits, just because you submit an affidavit on a matter does not mean it's on the court record yet. It's in the court docket. It's not on the court record yet. So there's ways to do that. I could read it into the court record, or you could do the old Robert Fox trick, where it's which Richard did. If you watch Richard's video in his court hearing, his mental evaluation hearing, another thing these attorneys like to do, you start kicking their ass a little bit, and all of a sudden they state that you're mentally incompetent. Oh sure, yeah, I'm just kicking your rear end, but I'm mentally incompetent. So watch what Richard did. It's the Robert Fox technique, how he gets his affidavit on the record. So once I get that affidavit on the actual court record, that's my testimony. An unrebutted court testimony stands as fact. So it's like anything, any trial. If I walked in and didn't even have an affidavit, and I got on the stand and I swore under oath and I testified and nobody rebutted my testimony would be the truth, would act as truth. And that's the same thing I'm doing with my affidavit, but I'm doing it out of court, and I'm getting my thoughts in order, and I'm going to place it on the court record, and I'm going to challenge the other corrupt, petty Fagershyster attorney to come forward and rebut my affidavit, because I know he's not going to do it. And I know nobody from the county, the borough, or the township, they're not going to step forward and rebut my affidavit, because it's all a smokescreen that they've been working under. The entire thing is fraud. It's a house of cards, and it's ready to come down. And we're going to start kicking some houses of cards down. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to come after these little sniveling idiots, the attorneys. Because they are people get things in the mail from these attorneys, and they see the law firm, logo on there, and they get that sick feeling in their stomach, they get worried, they're fearful. I'm going to tell you right now, the attorney, he's the weakest link in the chain. He's the Achilles heel of this whole thing. And when you walk through this process, and as we go on, I'm going to show you in detail how I use this process. I just started with some things. I did the mouth fraud complaint one. I did a little video on that. I'm going to start walking through how I use this process, and I'm going to show you how to put these attorneys in check and to show them personal liability. Don't ever, ever, ever let one of these petty Fagershyster attorneys make claims against you, telling you that these people have rights, that their client has rights over you or rights over your property. They will do that instinctively. I've run across it. And then when I smack them down, they back up real quick because they realize, I didn't realize he knew that. And so I'm going to show you how to deal with these petty Fagershysters. So that's you should actually, when you get something from an attorney in the mail, it should bring a smile to your face. Because now you're gonna take Mr. Attorney on a little journey that he's not going to believe, and that's your power. And he's going, by the time you're done with Mr. Attorney, he's going to be more worried about keeping his bar card and his insurance than he's going to be worried about you. And everything you do it's not speculation. Everything you do is based in actual hardcore law. Hey man, you're throwing affidavits around. You're saying, hey, listen, everything on this piece of paper I'll come in and testify to. And I'm willing to go to jail for that. Is the other side willing to do that? So think about that. Being before a supposed third-party impartial judge. Got one side saying, hey, I'm going to go to jail for everything I write down on this piece of paper. That's how much I believe it. I'm willing to go to jail for it. And the other side says, well, I'm not doing that. Well, who's telling the truth? The guy willing to go to jail for his documents, or the guy saying, "Oh, I'm not taking any liability. I just want to sit over here and commit fraud and forgery and operate in the world of hearsay, where I get to talk and act for a fiction of law against this man or woman." It's complete nonsense when you start to really analyze it. So don't get intimidated. Start to learn this little 6-step process, because this is really all I'm doing. I'm walking through this little process. And this has all been tried and true and tested. I mean, people have done this. And there's a story I tell about the guy who got the DUI from Pennsylvania, and that's usually going to cost you about 12 grand. Well, he started filing motions that got denied, and then he started filing state and federal criminal complaints. By the time he got done, they said, "Hey, pay us $25 and go away." So he said, "Nah, that's all right. I'm going to hold my hand." Because what had happened is, by him filing those state and federal criminal complaints, somebody got a phone call or phone calls, and somebody said, "What the hell are you guys doing? This guy's filing criminal complaints against you people." And their hope was, let's dangle the $25 out for him. Sure, he'll take that, because once he accepts the $25, he now absolves them from all criminal complaints, because all his criminal complaints would dissolve. So hats off to the guy. He actually said, "No, I'm going to hold my position. I'm good where I'm at." And that's what we're going to do here, and that's what you can do. You're going to move them through the same process, and you're not going to let these people treat you like property anymore, because you're not their property. And don't let people speak for fictions. There is no they, us, or we. You know, when people start talking like that, you always drill down. Excuse me, who is they? Well, they're not going to do that. Well, who is there? I need a name. I need an exact name of who you're talking about, because I don't understand your claim. You're speaking in vagueness, just totally arbitrary. They, them, we are not going to do that. Who's we? Who's this we we're talking about? Because I need to, listen, I'm entitled to due process in all matters, which means a notice and opportunity to defend myself. And until the other side tells me who's making these claims against me, who the exact man or woman who's making this claim against me, I can't defend myself, because I don't know who they are. So get familiar with this process. Start off, get your affidavit of status together. It's up there on the website. I put a couple of them up there. And there's a lot of good people in the Telegram group. Jump on the Telegram group. It's under, just do a search on my name, Alphonse Fagiolo, ALPHONSE, capital FAGGIOLO. And they're a real good Telegram group with a lot of people that are helpful there. A lot of people from around the world, different countries, that have already modified documents, and perhaps one of them will share their affidavit of status with you. But it's real good to bounce stuff off other people. A lot of people can help you with questions that maybe I can't get to you right now. I mean, technically, I'm getting like 200 emails a day, and I figured it out. If I spend 5 minutes on each email, there's 200 emails, I'm talking like 16 and a half hours a day. It's just not physically, humanly possible. So start using these resources here. The site, the forum's open, and if people reply, that's great. I just don't have time right now to update the site as far as with the replies. I got enough stuff, enough balls in the air right now. As things settle down, hopefully they will quiet down a little bit from now, I'll start to address the site. But for now, the best way to get information is through the Telegram group. So just start walking through this process. Get familiar with it, because this is your process. Take it, own it, use it, so that when these people start doing stuff to you, just think, you know what? I don't care what they're going to do. I already know what they're going to do. They're not going to answer me, so I'm just going to move them through my 6-step process. I'm just going to move you through my process. And we're going to see how you fare, how you make out by the time I've moved you from step 1 to step 6. And you're going to be surprised at what kind of responses you get as you start doing this. You start to, I don't want to say you're going to gain their respect. They may fear you, and they may respect you. I don't care whether you fear me or respect me, as long as you get out of my way. You get out of my way, we're good. You want to stay in my way, we're gonna have a problem with each other. It's to me, it's like Sonny in a Bronx Tale. When the bikers are in the bar, and Sonny gives them a chance. He tells them, hey, you guys are gonna be here, peaceably, and you want to drink here, no problem, we're good. And then the bikers start acting up, and Sonny walks to the door, and he kicks the door, shuts the door, locks it, and turns around and says, now you just can't leave. And that's how I look at this process. When I get some petty fogger shyster attorney or some unknowing droid from the county to borough to township making these ridiculous claims against me, I kick the door shut and I tell them basically, no, you just can't leave. I'm going to walk you through my process and we're going to see how you fare, how you make out. So that's it for now. I mean, just want to give you an overview. This is our goal. This is what we're going to try and do here. And I really don't need to get into UCC stuff, because what you're not seeing is I don't need to say I'm the beneficiary in any matter, because my paperwork's actually doing that for me. When I state I am man, I mean that only the man can be the beneficiary. And my paperwork basically, it asserts that I have that I'm the beneficiary without saying it. And when I'm the beneficiary, I have superior claim against all others in any matter, until somebody can come forward and prove me wrong, and that's not going to happen. So that's it. Don't want to go on too long, but just wanted to give you guys a little hope, little roadmap of where we're moving here. We're not doing things randomly. There's a method to the madness we're doing here. So take care and keep your head up, and don't let these people intimidate you. Thanks.